welcome to our session this afternoon. This is in fact the last of our Wednesday webinar sessions for this season until the summer, and it's on getting the most out of video in school settings. My name is Sally Reynolds. I'm going to be the moderator for this session this afternoon. So you're very welcome, and I hope you're going to enjoy the session. A couple of just some information about the session this afternoon. First of all, we're recording the session. So it will be made available afterwards for people who'd like to see a recording. We'll also, Chloe, my colleague, will also gather all of the information that's shared from the session this afternoon, including the presentations, and we'll put them together into a recap document for you so you can have that afterwards as well. Please feel free to use the chat to put questions and comments and any links maybe that you'd like to put in there that might be of interest to our audience this afternoon. We'd love to hear from you. Use the chat. In the meantime, do keep your cameras on if you can. It's always nice for us when we're giving talks to be able to see people who are actually there, but do keep your microphones off. We will have some question and some discussion a little bit later on in the session this afternoon that we'd love to hear from you. We're going to have a look at what the lineup for the session is this afternoon. So we're going to have a look at the agenda. So as you can see in a moment from the agenda, we have 4 speakers this afternoon. Not to worry, I'll tell you who they're going to be anyway. The first speaker this afternoon is Dr. Susanne Friz, Projects and Media Development Officer from FWU in Germany. So Susanne will be our first speaker this afternoon. Great, thanks, Chloe. She's going to be presenting the MediaTech portal for schools. Then we're going to have Aleksandra coming, who's head of the open education team at the Centrum in Poland. She's going to be presenting a report written on media literacy supported by AV collections. Then we have Yves Eijck, who's coordinator of film education from the Netherlands Institute of Sound and Vision in the Netherlands, who will be presenting Film Hub South and their teacher training program on film education. And last but absolutely by no means least, Tommi, Nevala, producer of the Culture Centre for Children and Youth in Finland, in Oulu, and he's going to be presenting the Camera Pen Pedagogy presentation this afternoon. So all of our presenters will take about 12 minutes to give you an overview of what they're doing and tell you a little bit more about their activities and their project. And obviously we'll put lots of links for you as well. So I think we're going to go then without any further ado to, we must discover how to turn off the ping every time somebody comes in. It's like the doorbell constantly ringing. But anyway, it's nice to hear that we have lots of people joining us this afternoon. So let me go first of all, Susanne, you're going to bring us up to date with where the schools portal is, the video schools portal, FWU in Germany. Yeah. Susanne.
Right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome from me. And yeah, I hope this is gonna, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about our institute, our Video Media Institute, and then I'm going to show you the Mediathek, and I'm going to show you one of our newer productions, what they look like, and that they're not just only video or films, but that is a lot more nowadays as well. Well, the FWU is owned by the 16 federal states in Germany. We have a federalistic system. That means, of course, all 16 states, they all have a Ministry of Education. And one of our main tasks has always been, since 70 years, we started after the Second World War. We even had predecessor institutions to make media for schools. And of course, we started with 60mm films, video, we did DVDs, CDs, software for a while, all sorts of, and nowadays, of course, it's all online. We have about 65 titles per year with interactive videos, worksheets, images, and H5P interactions. We also do ebooks, not so many, and we've just finished one for the Federal Bank of Germany about understanding money digitally. They sponsored it. We have one for biology, and we have one for publishers in religious education. And which I'm going to show you in a minute is the FEU Mediathek, the repository. It's not an archive, it's what we have. We have about 5,000 online productions and clips with additional material, with interactions, with worksheets, etc. And which I'll show you in a second. And this is one of our main tasks. And schools, usually media centers, buy those mediatheks for their schools. They buy the licenses. and then the schools can use them free of charge. We have also some other new duties. We do lots of services for the states, for their portals. We host them. We look after the media. We try to find new free media on the internet. We have the school section of the German EduSaver, and we do lots of projects. We've done EU projects, and we have 4 big projects. It's more on infrastructure for schools, also an open media library. We do single sign-on for schools, and we develop technical and legal standards for digital education and media. If you like to, you can go to our website. It's in German, of course, and you can have a look at the projects and see what they're like. So just to show you, this is one of our archives. Of course, we have lots and lots of material, and nowadays it's all online, but the archives are still quite full. And then I want to finish my slides and want to go straight into the, I just can't see it, into the Mediathek, FEU Mediathek, and show you a little bit what this is all about and what you can do with it. You can browse in it. If you don't have to be logged in to browse in it, but if you actually want to use the media and download the media, you have to be logged in. And as I said, most of the media centers buy the licenses for their schools, or the schools can, of course, also buy a license from us. And we have about 5,000 titles nowadays in the Mediathek. Now it's quite easy. You can browse, for example, by subjects, and I thought we just go into foreign languages. Or we can't find it now at the moment. Or we can go into German just to show you how it works. And you see you have lots and lots of material and different projects there. And then you can filter it. You can say, I only want a certain type of school. I only want a certain language. I want a whole production, or I want the single films. The whole production consists of films and worksheets and other material. And you can just have a look at only the films, or you can have a look at the full productions. And then you have different possibilities, and you can sort by year of production, you can sort by relevance, you can sort by titles. And if you say, yes, this is a title which sounds quite interesting for me, then you can have a look at it first. You can say, I'll have a look at the metadata. You can see what the content is. You can see the didactical tips. You can see the production, and you can see the rights as well, what you can actually do with the media. And some more things you can do, you can put it on your media list. I've already made a media list, and you can put it in here. You can download it as a teacher and use it offline, or we have a media player where you can organize all your media which you have downloaded, and you can present it offline in school in case you can't have access to an internet, which is still sometimes the case in Germany. So you don't need an internet to show the media. I put it in my media list. You can see here, that's all the media I've put in. And you can also make learn groups. That means you can invite your students. You can send them your media list, and then you can make little learn groups, and you can tell them, show them exactly which media they can look at or should look at. Or the other thing is, you can say they can browse the whole repository if you want to, but you can also give them just certain media lists or certain which you would like them to have a look at. And then just have a short look at one of our production, which is called Brexit. It's partly in English as well. This is the whole production, and we have two possibilities. You can look at it as a teacher, the view of a teacher. We have different topics about the Brexit, and then you can for example, here, this is the English part. We have how it worked, how it came to the Brexit. And here you can see to each topic, you have a film, you have worksheets, you have H5P interactions, you have text. That's one possibility. Or you can say the student wants to or should work on it on her or himself. And then you have the topics as well. We go to the English one. But now you have like a little ebook. You have a film. We can have a look at the film. You have an H5P interaction, lots of interactions where they then, after they've looked at the film, can sort out, for example, here, put the maps in the correct chronological order from 57 to 2020. How did it change? Or another one, which are the countries of the EU which belong to the EU, so they can have little interactive actions. They have maybe another film click they can look at, so they can work through this on their own speed, and they can do it themselves. Or, as I showed the other view, a teacher then can show what they want to show, a clip or film, or can use a worksheet or whatever. And maybe we can have a little look at the film. It takes a while till it loads on my laptop. And another possibility, I said, you can send a media list to the students. They can only have a look.
The British have left an historically unprecedented community of states, the European Union. How did this union actually come into being?
Right, so you can have a look at that, and they are all short little clips. We used to have long films of 15, 20 minutes, but nowadays it's all modules and it's all just short little clips they can look at. And another thing you can do, if you have a film and you want the students to look at it, but they don't really have the Mediathek, then you can send them a QR code or a link. And for 14 days, they can have a look at the media without even having to browse through the Mediathek. And after 14 days, it deletes it automatically. And then the film is gone, but you can give them as a homework. You can say, this is the one they should look at, and you can send them the link or the QR code, and they can have a look at it. Right, this is a short introduction.
Thank you, Susanne.
To our Mediathek and what the productions nowadays look like. So they've changed quite a lot. I mean, they're not like they used to be, only films, but they are really a whole online media with lots of additional material in it.
Thank you so much. Indeed, I was going to say repositories have changed significantly, really, haven't they, over the years in terms of video repositories? You're really representing the latest versions of. Yeah,
we just had an update. So we've put in some new features like sending it to the students or making little learn groups. We didn't have that before.
Okay, I've got everybody back on screen at the moment. Anyone like to ask any questions? Just, you know how to raise your hand in Zoom. Down at the bottom, there is the reactions button. You can click on that and you can indicate with a hand, or you can physically wave your hand if you've got your camera on. If you have any questions or any points you'd like to put to Susanne.
And there's some links in it. Of course, they're in German. You can have a look at our website with the projects and what we're doing. And you can have a look at the Mediathek. As I said, you can browse through even if you're not logged in. And we have quite a few English productions in it as well.
I was going to ask you that in terms of, I mean, I presume for German teachers in other parts of Europe, it's a terrific resource. Do they use it?
Yeah. Yes, they use it a lot. Yeah, they use it quite a lot. And I mean, you can also buy all the media separately if you want to. Some of the media centers have their own distribution and their own services for distribution, and they just buy licenses from us for certain media. But the Mediathek is very popular, and quite a lot, even schools buy it, because then they have, as I said, 5,000 titles for all different kinds of subjects. You can also have just one for the primary schools. Of course, that's smaller then, and they only have productions for primary school. Or you can have all different kinds of subjects and different types of schools.
Sure.
And
Yeah, I can imagine keeping it updated is quite a challenge. Is that, how do you do that? I mean, how many productions do you add each year on average?
well, we have 64 productions per year, new productions per year. And of course, some of them are new productions for old topics, and then we take out the old topics, put in the new topics, of course. But we have to produce new topics all the time. I mean, there are lots of, especially in the humanities, lots of new topics about fake news, about all sorts of social media. Those are influencers. Those are the topics they're really interested in. And they can get some material on the internet, but of course we try to present material with all different views, and that's what they like. We are not biased, and they know that. Since we're owned by the states, we have to be quite careful about that.
Indeed. And if it's not too rude a question, what is the license cost for an average school in Germany?
As I said, most of the time the media centers buy it for schools. And if a school buys it, they get it for 600 euros per year for all the subjects, and everybody in school can use it, all the teachers can use it, all the students can use it. And this is always per year, and then they can redo it or they can cancel it.
Ognian, do you want to ask your question yourself?
Hi guys, yes, I was just wondering which foreign languages do you support? For example, do you use any languages that are spoken by minority groups, for example, refugees or something like that? Thank you.
Well, one of the main ones we support is English, of course, and French, but we do have certain productions which are then maybe interesting for others as well, and then we produce them in other languages as well. But we don't have different languages all the time. But what we do, if another country is interested, then we can change the language, and we've done that with films quite a lot in the past. A country was interested, and then we can translate it and dub in the other one. But usually it's more German and French and Spanish.
And English. Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to put to Susanne at the moment? Susanne, I know you do quite a bit of research, don't you, in terms of how teachers use the materials as well too. So, I mean, do you have anything you can share with us in terms of what's the kind of the usage patterns that you see?
Well, we don't have the numbers, but teachers still like the films. They still prefer to show the films. And I said before that we produced software for a while. We had CD-ROMs and DVD-ROMs. I thought they were great. They had role plays on them, quite a lot of interaction, but that was too difficult for teachers because it needs quite a lot of preparation. They're afraid it might not work in class. And we still have in Germany the 45 minutes. One lesson is 45 minutes, and then you have the next lesson. And that means you can't really have a long software where you maybe need 2 or 3 hours to really get into it. That's why they like the films. And nowadays they like the small clips. It used to be a long film, 15, 20 minutes. They like to show it, but now they say we want short clips. We want to have our material as well. We want to add it to it. And but it's still, I think, in class, the films, which mostly is used. But if the students work on it, they like the interactions. They like the H5P interactions, and they like to do that.
Susanne, thank you very much. You're going to stick with us till the end of the session this afternoon. So if anybody has any questions, of course, Susanne, or follow-up, use the chat, and Susanne will be with us anyway. We're going to change now to our second presenter. I have permission from Aleksandra not to make a dog's dinner out of her family name, so I won't do that. So let me welcome Aleksandra, who's going to talk about a report that they have carried out on media literacy supported by AV collections. So Aleksandra, to you.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad that I'm here with you and I can present this report. Just 1 second, I will show my screen. Yes, so my name is Aleksandra Czetwertynska and I'm working in Centrum Cyfrowe. It's a small foundation from Poland, and in our foundation we talk a lot about education and open education, and also how this digital world is changing education all the time, and that's why we are also in this kind of projects. And I really think that they are very impactful and important. And today I will talk about media literacy and about the report that were conducted during the project Watching Videos Like Historian. And it's not only Centrum Cyfrowe work, there is quite big consortium who work on this project, and it's Euroclio, European Foundation, Netherlands Institute for Sound and Vision, our foundation, and also, now I can be wrong with pronunciation, Corporació Catalana de Mitjans Audiovisuals, and WebTIC. So as you can see, there is a lot of knowledge from different perspectives. And I also very happy that we had this first presentation about one of the portal, one of the audiovisual materials, because I will talk about this during my presentation and how it looks from student perspectives and how it looks from a teacher's perspective, and how we check this in our report. We make desk research. So basically we just try to find what we can find in publications about media literacy. We conduct 2 online surveys, teachers and employees from cultural institutions, to check how they use audiovisual materials and how it's connected to media literacy. And also we conduct 2 focus. We had 2 focus groups interviews with students and with educators and teachers. And on the end, we focused on some materials and try to take from them the best what we could find in online education and audiovisual materials. So now I will show some main results from the report. First of all, I just want to start with some basics, because we chose one of definition of media literacy, and it's because from practical way, this crucial skills, that this media literacy is crucial skills, we found it's very important for this educational part of media literacy, and for schools to be more precise. So we start with this definition, that this is the ability to identify different types of media and understand them, and understand also the message, because when we are talking about media literacy, and in this project, because it's called Watching Like Historian, we have a lot of history audiovisual materials. It was quite it is quite important to understand the context and the message from this materials. So if it's crucial, if we can agree that there's crucial skills to develop this media literacy for students. So according to teachers, they said that this is the most important in this media literacy will be analyze information, recognize the difference between opinion and facts. So also this information part in media literacy, and how we can use audiovisual materials to do this, to work with this information, and to give students right tools to work with this. Safe media use, and also create their own content. This was like the things that they were repeatedly said by teachers. And one more thing that we heard from them that there's in many countries there is not something that there is no subject as media literacy, and that's why it's not always so important in schools, and maybe that's why it's harder to incorporate these elements. But the teachers should remember to do this. This is like average way of use of this audiovisual materials, archival audiovisual materials. Mostly, they usually teachers watch with kids, with their students, pupils, some audiovisual materials, and then work on exercises or anything they have around this audiovisual materials. Sometimes they have this. They give this opportunity to. They give opportunity to their students to choose material, and this is a good practice. So because, as they said, that it works better for students to have this freedom and to choose their own audiovisual or archival audiovisual materials. And then now we will have two views of this, using, to be precisely, not all audiovisual materials, but only this archival materials, mostly used on history lessons, but also language lessons, sometimes art lessons also. Yeah, probably that's the most, but we talked to teachers from different different subjects. So they first thing that they said that it's very good to use this audiovisual materials just to broaden students' knowledge. They are just another way of learning. We know that people are different and they learn in different ways. So also these audiovisual materials are sometimes good for our brains to have this different different way to learn something. And it's something that was very interesting for me, this empathy. For students, it was easier to visualize and to be closer to history events and to have this more empathy to this to different situations. If they saw archival audiovisual materials, not only read the paper or even saw the picture, it's not the same. When we have this this moving picture, it was way easier for students to understand the situations from the past. And then we have this component of creation. It's also very important for students, and also the teachers see that it's good for the students to create their own audiovisual materials from archival resources. And to do this, the students need to develop their researching skills to find the right materials. And the last thing that they said also, and the last slide, that it's mostly, it depends on the teacher if they use or they don't this archival or even just audiovisual materials during the lessons. And for students watching archival materials, encourage them and just help them to develop this need to search for more resources, because they can see that there could be something quite interesting in the story, in the history. They also really like to develop some skills to create their own audiovisual formats. They think that this is something that that they can use not only during the classes, only in the schools, but something that they can take with them to their future work or just future life, and also they just think that it's more engaging, and they sometimes it's just easier to be focused during the lesson if they have also this kind of materials during the lessons. But of course, it's not only always easy to use audiovisual materials, and not only archival, but just any materials, because sometimes there is not enough equipment in the classroom. For example, in Poland, we have sometimes problem with internet. There is not enough. No, it's not good enough to use online materials. But also some skills. Teachers sometimes are just afraid to use audiovisual materials because they are not used to it. They don't have enough training to use this kind of materials. They don't know what to do with audiovisual materials, how to use them during the classes. But also they have some problems to find adequate materials to put them in the right place in the curriculum, in the good context, because we have a lot of languages in Europe, in the world, and the materials are not normally. Of course, there's a lot of in English, but then if you have small language like Polish, but it's not the smaller one, probably it's a broader problem. Then sometimes it's hard to find it in your own language. And also the additional materials. Sometimes there are not enough additional materials to use, and to create their own materials to audiovisual, just the videos that you can find online. It's a lot of time for a teacher to do it. And what can help teachers to use audiovisual materials? Also, this archive one. First, better integration materials with education. That's mean what I said before. Easier to recognize which material could be okay for this kind of lesson. Then training, because as I said, not all teachers know how to use audiovisual materials in proper, useful, efficient way. And also this technical, simple technical support, how to use audiovisual materials during the lesson. And the last, maybe what I, two things from this slide. High quality education materials, everything that it could be touched to audiovisual materials. It's always big help if it's not only video. We know from different research that teachers and students love to use videos, as we heard today. They really like to use videos because it's easy way to learn. It's easy way to learn, but for teachers, it's important to have high quality, proved materials to be sure that their lessons will be all right, and the students will learn something. Because probably, as you heard a lot of times, that sometimes lesson with video, like lesson with film, it's not taken seriously. It's like free time, and teachers are afraid of this. So it's very important to have also this high quality education materials, and also remember about accessibility, because we have different needs, and this accessibility could help to make these audiovisual materials more accessible for everyone at school. yeah, and on the end, I won't read this all of this because it's a lot, and you can find this in the report. So I just want to say that we also looked at this ready audiovisual, ready materials, educational materials about media literacy, and we took from them the good practices, the things that we saw that really worked well. And in general, this is the most important things that are connected to the curricula in different classes and on different levels. So it's easy to use for teachers. And we can that they are also described in the way that what student could take from this this material, from this audiovisual or media literacy material, what use for them from this Then third thing, clear guidance, because it's it's time issue for teachers. If they have clear guidance, they know what to do, and there it's easy to use. And yeah, good description. We have also some ideas of this model. In this model, what forms and design are better, what elements should be included in this kind of materials. And on the end, I just need to say about copyrights, because it's something that Centrum Cyfrowe is working on a lot. If it's possible, we should put all educational materials, also this about audiovisual, or educational materials around audiovisual videos on Creative Commons or any free lessons, to make it easier to use and easier to reuse, adapt, and make it public. Okay, and that will be all for today. Thank you very much for this invitation, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Aleksandra. We're just going to switch back, so we just have you and all of us on the screen. Great, lovely. And there is a question in from Stefania. Stefania, you want to ask the question yourself? Switch on your mic.
Yes. Hi,
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm just curious about the obstacles and the way you try to remove them. I mean, you showed the ways you're doing that in various sectors, but is there anything you're doing at a government level? And if yes, are there any lessons learned that you want to share?
But you mean in this project, or in general in Poland? Because there was consortium from different countries, and
yes. The reality you're closer to. So
okay, yeah. So yes, I really believe that it should be on government level, and it should be in curricula in countries. I don't believe in separate subject, because I really believe that media literacy should be in every subject in school, but it should have their own place. It should be very clear, right, that we need to teach how to use materials, online materials, how to work, fight with disinformation, and so on and so on. And we should have this clear information on every level at school, and it should be on government at government level, because for
is
me,
that yes, is that a discussion that you already started, and did you find any stopper there?
Yeah, in Poland it's quite complicated, because we have a lot of education reforms all the time, and it's not so easy to put these changes. So it's not so easy to make it like this. But so it's most my beliefs, and the practice. The practice is that we work with NGOs, we work with teachers, and just show them how to use different good practices, and small steps. but this is what we can achieve right now, probably. And the steps, the biggest steps is that we don't have one vision, one clear vision how it should work. For me, it's one, and the second, that this world is changing so fast, and this discussion about, for example, disinformation, it's really quite new, and it's changing all the time, and it's not so easy to develop the ways of teaching in so fast changing world and in so fast changing environment. So for me, probably it will be the biggest.
I think Stefania is pointing to, and you're both pointing to, big problems that we do come back into, certainly when we talk about our media literacy activities. And I think many people in this group would be nodding their heads in sympathy as well too, in terms of some of those tackling. But thank you for the summary. Aleksandra, just one quick thing, just when you carried out your research about the use of archive in this world, what countries did you carry out the research on? Is it just the just the partners countries?
Yeah, just the partners. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we'll refer everybody then to. Thank you very much. That's the link. Thanks, Chloe. It's already in the chat for everybody who wants it. Okay, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, Aleksandra. Thank you also for the questions, Stefania. And we're going to move on then to Yves. Yves is coordinator of film education in the Netherlands. He's working for the Institute for Sound and Vision, which was just mentioned as one of the partners in the project. And he's going to present the Film Hub South and teacher training on film education. Yves.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm going to start sharing my screen.
That's the tricky part.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, no, you're seeing your screen now. Lovely.
There it is.
Yeah.
My name is Yves. I have two main positions at the moment. 1 second. Oh, I'm missing a slide. I have two main positions at the moment. I am a media teacher at the Dutch Institute of Sound and Vision, but I'm also, I am the educational department of Lumière Cinema in Maastricht, and I'm also the co-founder of Film Hub Zuid, the Limburg division. And I'm a teacher trainer as well. So basically it's 4 positions, but I have 2 main positions. I'm going to talk about all positions I have because they are all connected to one another. And I've learned from all the positions, I've learned major things. And I hope this is a best practice for everyone. When we do programs at the Dutch Institute of Sound and Vision, we always start with moving images because the building is built on top of the buried archive. So basically the building is built on top of the Dutch media history. So I'm going to show you a short compilation. It will take 1.5 minutes, but we have over 1 million hours of footage. So it's only a very small part of everything we have at the Dutch Institute.
No sound, Yves, you ought to sound there.
Yeah, and one of the biggest questions you can ask to learners or students is why do we save everything? And basically we save everything nowadays. So that's why our collection is that big. So that's one of the most important questions you can ask someone. But why do we want to teach learners and students something about moving images? We want them to read moving images, and we want to teach them how to communicate through moving images, so that they will learn how to tell their own stories to the world through moving images. And why? Now, because we are living in a media-dominated world. Film education in the Netherlands is a subpart of media literacy in educational settings. But our goal in the future is that film education is getting its own subject in primary schools, which will be called film or moving images. And in secondary schools, the plan is that it will be integrated in existing school subjects. And the Minister of Education decided that it will be a part of the curriculum changes in the future. So hopefully it will be turned around in, I think, 4 or 5 years time. I was asked to tell you something about teacher training. So when you have teacher training students in a session, then these are the main focus goals when you talk about film education. When we talk about film education in the Netherlands, it's all about how moving images are being used. The how, so how the story is being told, is the what. So what's the story is about. It's all about the story. The moving image is a tool to tell a story, to tell someone's story. It's all about the tricks and techniques the maker uses. And it's also important to tell the learners that the filmmaker is also a normal human being who's living its life. And when we talk about manipulation of the audience, it doesn't necessarily mean that the director wants to brainwash the audience. And it's important that the learners learn something in a positive vibe. And it's all about learning about the illusions and tricks and techniques and about the magic of film, the magic of cinema. So learning about the illusions and tricks and techniques of moving images teaches learners and teachers and humans how to regain control in an image-based society. So basically they learn how to filter information from moving images. I think when you use moving images in a classroom situation, you have to use the impact which the moving image already has by itself. For example, one of the most how do you say it? The period which had a lot of impact on my own life when I grew up as a child was the fall of the Berlin Wall. So there are a lot of documentaries, a lot of footage which is created by people themselves throughout photos or throughout film. But the historical situation on itself has a lot of impact on society now. So why don't use the moving images that will tell you the story of the fall of the Berlin Wall? And images and moving images are always a reflection of a certain point of view, and basically it's the point of view which the filmmaker wants to show you. So it's all about the perspective, the eye of the filmmaker. So I'm going to tell you about my work at Lumière Cinema Maastricht, but also my work at Film Website and my work at the Dutch Institute of Sound and Vision, because they are all connected to each other. So my work at Lumière Cinema Maastricht, we have 4 foundations underneath our educational department. So we provide lessons for primary and secondary education in our teachers and at schools as well. We focus particularly on extracurricular education, the magic of film. We focus on teachers a lot, further training, and we focus on the teachers of the future. So how to integrate film education into existing school subjects, because when you reach out to the teachers of the future, then you can change education in a couple of years' time. It's the fastest way to change education, and it's the fastest way to have an impact on education, because the teachers of the future will be graduated in 4 years' time. And when they learn how to integrate film and moving images in their existing school subjects, then I think you can make a lot of progress. We want to teach the learners, the students, and the teachers of the futures how to read moving images, how to communicate with moving images, to read and write with film. My work at the Lumière Cinema is very important for my work at Film Upside, because Lumière Cinema is a shareholder and a founding partner of Film Upside. Film Upside is the film education hub for the south of the Netherlands, for the provinces of Zeeland, Brabant, and Limburg. We have 6 film hubs in the Netherlands, and they are under supervision of the Dutch Film Institute. They run the network Film Education, and they have over 150 partners in that network Film Education. And Film Upside is the regional version of the Dutch network. So Film Upside is a network organization and a link between the educational field, the educational publishers, the art house movie theaters, the local cultural educational organizations, and filmmakers, not to forget. And its main objective is to collect, bundle, and share information about film education with the network organizations and the network partners in order to increase the overall quality of film education in Dutch schools. And I also brought to you an example from my work at the Dutch Institute of Sound and Vision. We have a fake news workshop for primary and secondary schools, which uses a lot of images and moving images. And we want to teach the learners how to regain control over their media lives and their social media lives. So, for example, if you have a fake news message about the war in Ukraine, what can you do yourself, by yourselves, to do a sort of basic fact check? So what are all the tools we can learn you how to regain control over all the information which is coming to you day by day? When I say that people obtain 95% of their information through moving images, through social media use, then I don't think I'm exaggerating. And we learn the learners how they are being manipulated in being polarized in society nowadays. So when people are spreading fake news and disinformation, they want you to go to the extreme sides of the debate in society. So basically they want you to choose sides, and all the nuance is being lost. So we want to learn what the techniques are that are being used. And I think, and we did a lot of research about the techniques that are being used, and these 3 are being used the most. So people disguise themselves mostly on social media. Emotion is the tool that is being used a lot. And yeah, the goal, why are people spreading fake news? Why are people spreading misinformation? Is to polarize society. And then we want to learn and teach the learners and students and teachers of the future how they can recognize the types of fake news. So you can recognize fake news in conspiracy theories. You can recognize this in when people or politicians or famous people are discredited, and you can recognize fake news when the internet trolls are doing their work, mostly on social media as well. And we use a lot of investigation journalism from famous Dutch reporters like Marieke Kuipers. She's from the Dutch public broadcasting organizations, and she has her own TikTok fact check account, and she teaches learners how to fact check videos themselves. But it's in Dutch, so I won't bother you with that. And we we teach learners how to recognize internet trolling as well. And in the end, they create their own fake news factory. So what we've learned is that lessons are being learned a lot faster when you don't only do a simulation of the real work, but when you do the real work as well in a program. So the fake news they are creating, we publish the fake news posts the learners are making on the internet as well, and it's a sort of competition game to see which learner has the most impact on society. So who has the most likes and who has the most social media shares at the end of the day. And we do this because learners will recognize the techniques which are being used a lot faster by doing it themselves. So this was the end of my presentation. I also want to show you the YouTube account of Film Zuid, because one thing we did, and I will put the link in the chat as well. One thing we did was to create pre-recorded webinars with Fontys University of Applied Science, Applied Sciences for teacher training students. So we created 4 infotainment webinars, infotainment videos on a low entry level, which shows them how to use film, how to use moving images in classroom situations, with a couple of examples per video as well. So this was the end of my presentation.
Thank you.
So if someone has questions or wants to
very much, Yves. I have to ask a very quick question, which is, I presume you get the students to take down their fake news after they've put it all up?
Yep.
At the end of the day? Okay, I was just a bit concerned about that. There's enough of it out there. And on specifically on the fake news and disinformation, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because we're interested in hearing more about film education. But Ognian, you had a specific question in terms of pushback from parents. Do you want to put that? Just about teaching fake news. Do you?
Yeah, sure. Do you face any pushback by parents, by teachers saying, okay, stop interfering into the brains of my kids. This is not fake news, that's true, but it's a whole conspiracy theory. You see, it's a little bit sensitive. Do you face any challenges with that? Thank you.
Yeah, of course. There are a lot of challenges with that, but we don't want to get into discussions in the school situations, because we only want to teach learners the techniques which are being used. So that's the main goal of the workshop or the lesson. So we have a lot of how do you say it? Techniques to avoid discussions on the subject, because you don't win a discussion on conspiracy theories with people who believe in them. So you have to avoid those discussions. But if you teach learners and teachers the techniques so they can recognize misinformation and conspiracy theories by themselves, then you avoid being trapped into a lot of discussions with no ending.
Stephanie just makes the point she likes the positive attitude, as you probably saw, Yves, as well, too,
Yeah.
and magic comparison. Thanks, Stephanie. I just want to ask a final question. I was just curious about the distinction you're making between film education and media education, or media literacy education. Why the distinction in this day and age?
Why the distinction? Because film education is about the stories which are being told through moving images, and media literacy is a lot more. It's more about filtering information. So if we have media literacy programs at the Dutch Institute of Sound and Vision, for example, it's more about news literacy. So it's not about how people are manipulating people in their stories, or
okay, so it's narrative is the distinction, is it?
yes.
Purely narrative. Okay, no, thank you very much. It's just that we have had also in Europe, we've had film clubs, for example, in schools that have been and continue to be popular as an opportunity to look at films that are maybe not necessarily on the main cinemas. And I just wondered where that distinction and where that, if you see yourself in that role as well of introducing young people to the joy of cinema and not just the Hollywood specials. You do that as well, I guess. Yeah.
We do that as well.
Okay.
But film education is about TikTok videos as well, or small vlogs as well.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Eve. You'll be with us for a few minutes longer anyway. And if anybody's any comments they want to put to you or to reach out to you in the chat, please do so. But now I'd like to move on to Tommi, because interesting, you talked about...
So I will stay for 10 minutes and then I will leave.
Sure. Thank you very much. The pen, because Tommi is presenting the camera pen pedagogy, using the camera as a pen. So Tommi, I'm really happy to introduce you, a producer of Culture Centre for Children and Youth, the Valve Film School for Children in Oulu in Finland. And you know, we all look to Finland. Everybody says everything's wonderful in Finland. So we're looking forward to hearing from you about your project. Thank you very much. No pressure.
Thank you. Thank you. And hello, everyone. And no pressure. I'm starting sharing my screen now. Let's see. Share. And I'm finding the correct slide. Okay, so I'm Tommi Nevala and I'm an executive producer of Valve Film School for Children. It's I'm working for City of Oulu. There's this Department of Culture and Education, and we have this little film school as a part of this this department. And today I will tell you a little bit about a thing we call camera pen pedagogy. And I started working with it, I think it was like 20 years ago. I was leading a teacher training project, and pretty soon there was an idea that how to integrate video making in the like different school subjects and themes, and teachers wanted something not just to make live action films and screenplays and storyboards and filming, editing, because they thought that it's very time consuming, but we still do that also. But we created a project, it was maybe 2005, and it was called Camera Pen Project. And since that, I've been creating all kinds of materials for camera pen pedagogy, and written some articles and stuff like that. And actually, at the moment, 20 years later, I'm doing my PhD research on camera pen pedagogy, and I will write 3 articles. And at the moment, I'm writing the first one, and it's a theoretical article. So I'm sorry if my presentation is a bit theoretical side, because my mind has set to this theoretical position, but I try to put some practical elements, of course, in it. But let's start with a couple quotes. They are always interesting, and you might wonder who said this, and then I can reveal the correct answer. That this was Thomas Edison who said this 1913, that it's possible to teach every branch of human knowledge with the motion picture, and school system will be completely changed in 10 years. Okay, 10 years passed, and Thomas was still, he still believed that motion pictures would revolutionize educational system. But what is maybe today, what is more important here is the latter part of the quote. He said that education of the future will be conducted through a visualized education. And let's take that part, that visualized education, with us now, and continue. And another quote, this is a French filmmaker, film theorist, Aleksandra. Couple decades after Edison, he said that cinema has a future only if the camera can manage to replace the pen. Okay, let's take this also, this idea of Astruc's idea. And we definitely can say that with camera pen pedagogy, we have some kind of a cinematic background, cinematic thinking perspective when we are having a definition of what camera pen pedagogy is. And we had this Aleksandra Astruc's, he had this term called camera stylo. It's French and means camera pen. And it was about writing, personal writing, which allowed filmmakers to express thoughts and feelings, just like same way that novelist or philosopher is using writing to express thought. And there's yet another quote, another filmmaker, coincidentally, he's also a French filmmaker, Jean-Luc Godard, who said that cinema is an instrument of thinking. Okay, let's take all these elements I mentioned, like Edison's visualized education. Let's take Astruc's camera stylo, camera pen, and Godard's instrument of thinking. What we have like visualized education or something, not visualized thinking or something like that. And camera pen pedagogy is kind of like a visualized thinking. You use camera like a pen, like this traditional pen, to produce different kind of ideas, thoughts, concepts, theories, or interactions in school settings, school environment. And it has like a bit of film education, and it has a bit of media education or video pedagogy. And in Finnish national core curriculum, which was, I think, reformed in 2014, we have a term called multiliteracy, and this definitely has some multiliteracy pedagogy involved also. So a lot of different things, and we collect them in the one model. And a little bit, if we go a little bit deeper, what camera pen pedagogy really is, and we can say that it's with camera pen pedagogy, you are using camera as a tool for learning, for example. But camera is also a tool for like observing or exploring the world. It's producing, of course, it's producing and sharing knowledge and solving problems. It's definitely expressing your thinking and emotions, and it's about reflecting on learning and reflecting on one's own, but also others' emotions and thinking, and it's about interacting. So to make it like more simple and to summarize, you would say that it has like this expressive side, where you solve problems and construct knowledge and make your thinking kind of visible. And then you have this reflective side, which is nothing new, but it's like from video pedagogy side, it's about like documenting problem solving or learning process, and then the video reflects how the interaction between pupils or what kind of choices they are making during the learning process. It has all these elements, and don't worry, I will show some practical stuff soon. Actually, right now I will tell well how to use. That was what camera pen pedagogy is, and now how to use it, or what way to use it. Okay, here's a couple of examples what you can do with it. You can look for the signs of spring or summer or winter in the local environment. For example, you can describe mathematical themes, introduce, for example, a tree or a plant, a flower, a mushroom, introduce a tree and its parts and the purpose, represent, recognize and interpret different emotions. That's quite fun actually. We have had like workshops with different emotions, and it's something very good. At the moment, emotions are quite teachers need some like tools how to learn how to teach emotions, for example. Okay, and of course demonstrate the correct technique by making an instructional video like sports lessons or cooking, or how to slice a carrot on the right way. Or it can be really simple video, and it doesn't not necessarily require a script, or it can be like a note. It can be of course scripted video also, but it has many like variations. And then you might ask why to integrate video making into learning, and of course this came up earlier also, but you can say that audiovisual media and communication have of course increased in children's lives, and we all have this digital wonder device where with it you can shoot video, edit video, and broadcast it globally in a matter of minutes. Like 20 years ago, you couldn't even dream about that kind of a device. But now it's almost everyone has it, and it's about learning with technology. And it's more and more attention that has been paid to this part, and support pupils' multiliteracy skill or media literacy skill, and integrate technology into learning. And I think this way it connects the school's formal learning content with the children's off-school informal practices. And this this makes learning more supportive for everyday realities. And you might say that it also makes learning, it's motivating in a way. And in a kind of a learning environment with technology integration, it supports and develops pupils' self-efficacy, motivation, and metacognition. And this last one, I have to put this because this is something I'm researching in my PhD research, and it's quite interesting actually. It should be. I'm spending the next 5-6 years with it, but it's definitely something that's I'm looking forward to explore with and studying with children in the near future. Okay, here's my contact details if you want to know more about camera pen pedagogy, or I will tell you definitely more. But I want to show you some more practical stuff. Don't worry, not the whole set, but I made this one material called Videobrush. Believe it or not, it was 2009. I've done something after that also, but this was quite good because it's quite simple, and it's how you learn geometrical forms, colors, or vocabulary by using video camera. And I skip to this part, and this Videobrush method has like a specific camera technique. First, you find an object and which you want to record. For example, now we imagine that we have like a geometrical form workshop, and I'm finding different kinds of geometrical forms, and I found this circular form, and I record it, and then I pull the camera backwards and reveal the whole object. Of course, you can do this with still images, as you see, but we use, of course, moving images. So it's a hand-eye coordination and all that stuff we want to include. But this is quite a handy tool for like learning about geometrical forms, for example, of different colors. It works kind of a puzzle thing. You can guess what is in the picture, and it reveals more information as the camera is pulling backwards, and it's quite nice to see how kids react to it when they are guessing, and then they know the right answer. You can think, what is this thing there, and I can reveal the right answer, and then we could have a discussion. Why is the color red? Could it be any color? And it could have actually really nice conversation with kids. We usually do with primary school children. There's a little video. I think it's maybe 20 seconds. I will show it. No sound. You see here they are like interacting. Other guy is helping the other one the right way. It's very motivating. You don't have to. It's unbelievable. It's a time before iPads. There was this kind of a time. Probably this camera has a cassette in it. And another part. Yeah, that's the next here. This girl. She's recording the triangle, and what is the object is the helmet, and you see the process. It's quite simple, and when they are like after the end of the workshop, they are watching the results and trying to guess what they have been. The other groups trying to guess what the other groups have filmed. Here's one example. We pause the material, and then they start guessing, and it's very, very nice to see how they react to this kind of stuff. So this was kind of a crash course in camera pedagogy. I hope you enjoyed, at least. Thank you.
Thank you, Tommi. Absolutely. No, it's really, really nice to hear about it, and to know now you're setting forth on a big research job. So I suppose the first thing we all have to do is wish you good luck, apart from anything else. Yeah, not going to be easy. Are you going to carry out your research just in Finland, or are you looking at other countries as well?
You mean with this specific topic, this camera pedagogy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this event. My colleague Lauri contacted me, and I'm here now talking to you guys. I have some contacts in India. Because I have some stuff online in English, but not so much. But nowadays it doesn't matter. But we have some contacts to different countries, and they've been quite interested because, of course, film education, we do film education also, different kinds of materials, making films and how to analyze films. But this has been my like a pet thing, and it's more like I said, it's more like a media education side, but it doesn't matter. It has a moving image, and it's been really nice because it's very simple, and that's why teachers love it and like it very much, because it's very simple, and it's something also that what children like, because it has room for creativity and imagination, because it's very pupil orientated process. So it's
sure.
Of course, I think it's the best thing in the world.
Very flexible, absolutely. Yeah, Stefania says, reminds her of Blow Up. This is for Yves on the importance of film education. Thanks, Stefania. Paula, you want to put your question yourself? You want to switch on your mic? You're very welcome. Not a big group. Yep, you're good to go.
Hi, I'm just curious about the use of still images and sound examples that teachers use in class, and if they find those things less complex to use than moving images. And this is, I'm asking anyone who has presented today if they can respond to the question.
Thank you. Thanks, Paula. You want to go first, Tommi? Moving versus still.
I don't know if I have the correct answer here, but I think after the iPads and all these smart devices, it's lowered the I don't know what's the word, risk of taking, because moving image used to be quite
complicated.
Complicated. It required cassettes and batteries and cords and stuff, but nowadays it's simply this one, for example, iPad, and children are already quite good using it when they reach like a school age or something like that. At least in Finland, they are quite handy. So I don't know.
The teachers maybe than the kids.
Yeah, it's that's why we create this pupil orientated or pupil centered methods.
Thanks, Susanne. Do you see any difference in the way people use?
I think it depends on the subject and the topic. I think sometimes an image can show a lot more than a video. I mean, especially in maybe geography or mathematics or physics, sometimes they still use images. An interesting point is that nowadays teachers use more and more podcasts and audio, because at least in Germany, and I think in other countries in Europe as well, podcasts have got very, very popular amongst young students. They use them privately all the time, of course, different subjects and different topics than in school. But since they use it so much, teachers started to use it more in Germany as well. And we have, in lots of our media portals, we have more and more podcasts and audio now, which before I always thought nobody's going to use. And now they use them quite a lot. And that's really interesting. And as Tommi said, video and film has become so much easier. I mean, we started with the 16mm film rolls, and teachers had to have a certain course before they could actually show it in schools. And that is all not necessary. And since it's all online, of course, the technique is so much easier to use. But there is, you can see that they tend to show small clips. Longer films, they say sometimes the kids can't stay with them for 15, 20 minutes. That has changed the way they look at things. Everything is so much shorter in what the films they look at, the clips. And subject, I think, and I think that's a movement. Oh, that's something you can see nowadays. They rather look at short clips, and that's what we do in our media as well.
It's a subject, quite a lot of research, of course, now, isn't it, in terms of concentration and focus? But anyway, probably sadly not for time for us. Aleksandra, you want to add anything to that? Our other speaker today? I know that Yves has had to leave us. Aleksandra, any thoughts on the difference between stills and moving images? Did you find anything in your research?
Not really. I of course have some some reflections about this. I mean, it's just a different medium, and I really believe that we just need different mediums to teach well. And sometimes also still images, if they are printed, they are even better because you can just touch them and they're real thing. And it's very important also to remember this.
Reality indeed. And you see, everyone sees Stefania's comment, linking back to the Stefania, you're aging those of us who are over a certain age now, so it's true. I agree with you. Any other comments or inputs anyone wants to make to our group before we do our wrap up this afternoon? Thank you so much for joining us. You know, as always, we'll make the recap, and we'll share with everybody on the recording. I have to say there was a huge number of people registered this afternoon, but a much smaller group taking part. So I know that that'll be passed on to all those others as well. Thank you very much to our speakers this afternoon, to Susanne and Tommi and Aleksandra, and of course to Yves as well. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and for sharing your time and your really interesting projects. And to everybody, let us know if you have suggestions. We're now putting together our programme for autumn in terms of the different sessions that we're organising. We'll certainly be doing several related to our teacher training in media literacy work that we're doing through the Teamlit project. We'll also have, we'll certainly be focused on some of our EDMO work as well too, with the different hubs in media literacy. But if you have suggestions for topics that might make for a good session like this, please let us know, and also for speakers. We're always glad to get suggestions from you. A couple of articles, thanks very much, that Chloe put up from our most recent newsletter, which went out at the beginning of this week. And if you aren't receiving our newsletter, then please do, because there's lots of really interesting information in there. And the ones that she's highlighted, which I think are really interesting, are, first of all, there's a summary of the National Media Literacy Policy in Australia, which is really worth looking at how they are incrementing. Probably in answer to Stefania, some of your points about government and policy earlier, it's worth having a look at that. And the other one that's very relevant is the one that's coming up, that's also there from the same newsletter from Sweden, which is also interesting to see policy and how policy is rolling out with regard to media literacy. We have a couple of articles then on specific projects, like the Be Hate Free Speech, one from Lithuania, which is really interesting. A very, I think, thought-provoking article on disinformation in virtual reality, which is kind of a whole new ball game for everybody, I think, in terms of we're moving into more and more XR and virtual reality, and where, of course, does information come into play in there. And last but not least, I'm really happy that Vitor is with us this afternoon as well too, because we have an article on the media literacy activities of the EDMO hub in Spain and Portugal called Iberofire. So thanks to Vitor for that and to Charo for that. So that's our newsletter. Do sign up for our newsletter. Stay tuned. We will have the EDMO conference, which several of you may be going to already. Is taking place on 25th of May. And we have then our own conference on media and higher education on the 20th and 21st of June here in Leuven. We organise this together with KU Leuven. So there are events coming up, but of course, newsletter, social media channels, best way to stay in contact with us. And I'd love to hear from you, as I said, if you have suggestions for topics that we can cover. My thanks to Chloe. Thanks, Chloe, for keeping us all on the straight path. And thanks to everybody. Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of the day.